Everything is a copy of a copy of a copy. I feel like this is something that isn't talked about much these days because, I mean, maybe it's just obvious, but I find it as something that's quite interesting that everything that even people deem to be unique and one of a kind has already been done before, has already been made before, has already been said before. So this left me wondering, what does it mean to create something original? I mean, when you go into looking at things like art, your favorite artist, or your favorite musician, or even the clothes that you wear, I'm sure that you can see many similarities between other creators, right? You, even for instance with music, a music genre, type of instruments that are played, it's all inspired from a certain source or trend. And I'm not sure that this will resonate with all of you, but I feel like a lot of us want to create something new, to create something individual to us. And the more I think about this aspect of creation and everything being a copy of a copy of a copy, I realize that it's not necessarily a negative thing. And thinking even deeper into it, I think that originality isn't necessarily creating something from nothing, especially in 2026 when most ideas have already been coined, most products have already been made. I think that, at least in the modern day, a lot of originality comes from this unique combination of influences that's filtered through your own experience. It's sort of this journey of taking inspiration from other creators, from other ideas, and using them to influence your own creations. For example, with YouTube, you can look at other people's thumbnails and you can look at other people's content and the things they discuss. And sure, you can try to min-max the algorithm and go for views, or you can take parts that you like of their thumbnails and you can integrate them into yours without entirely copying them. And I feel like, at least in the modern day, that's how originality becomes created. Everyone's influenced by each other. Now, I think, at least in my opinion, this entire topic is incredibly relevant for the time that we're living in 2026, because although it may be true that originality tends to be built upon ideas that have come before, in the modern day, there seems to be almost an epidemic of stealing others' ideas, stealing others' creations without trying to put your own unique spin on them. And I think it's such a strange thing because it seems like, I mean, generally, I think a lot of people's main motivation for doing this is for, fame or money. But I think specifically you look at things like social media or, the rise of AI, and you can see a lot of non-original content. I mean, even on this platform, you can see how YouTube has been demonetizing. Is that even a word? How there's been a big epidemic of demonetization against this sort of content. And I think, at least for us as people, it's it's easy to try to want to take others' ideas and use them without putting your own unique output on them. But I think we almost have a responsibility to try to remix these ideas rather than just copying them straight, because, at least in my opinion, it's through this remixing, through this evolving of these ideas that we can almost evolve as people. Look, perhaps at this point I'm rambling a bit, using words to describe words, trying to give words a meaning. But maybe that's all humanity has ever done. taking these fragments and these ideas of the past and rearranging them into something we can call our own. Now, I want to subvert this a bit and ask you, as the viewer, a question. How much of your personality is actually your own? Now, I want you to pick a specific scenario, or not a scenario, a hobby, or something you're interested in, something that makes up you. Whether that's your music taste, your fashion taste, the kind of TV series that you like, or food. And I want you to consider how much of it comes from just a sort of based instinct of you enjoying that thing, or compare it to how much of it comes from influences, your friends, your family. And now, I want to tell you that I don't think it matters. And I'm not saying that it's irrelevant or anything, but I'm saying that you can have two people who both listen to the same music. Maybe one of them got the other one into the genre, and that's why they both like rock. But you can have these two people consume the same music, and they can still turn out different and still branch into liking different genres. And I think that's because experience and actions can change the way you interpret things. So the point of that is that originality might not necessarily be something that's solely based on how you're influenced or is solely based on how you feel, but rather there's a uniqueness to originality that comes from combinations, from the way you interpret outside influences based on your past experiences, rather than isolating them, if that makes sense. Anyway, at this point, I think I'm beginning to even confuse myself a bit, so I think I'm gonna end the video there. If any of you enjoyed, then please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Feel free to ask me any questions as well, or maybe tell me what sort of topics you'd like discussed in a future video. And just remember that everything is a copy of a copy of a copy. And maybe that's not a bad thing.